this is an example of an open loop. An open loop is kind of like a cliffhanger if we're talking about attention grabbers, and it was one of my favorite open loop attention grabbers because it kept the audience on the edge of their seats to an extent. So this goes a little nuancy, but I had an event where I wanted to keep the moms engaged. And so the parents and the moms at this one particular event, which happened to be an epic grad party event, I devised an open loop from the beginning of the event that lasted all the way through until the end, to the extent that the climax of the event resulted in everyone coming out to watch, the peak of the energy for the night. And so it was simply confetti cannons. So I made this big deal about the danger of these very high-powered confetti cannons, which were simply like these store-bought, actually I think we got them on Amazon or something like that, but it's these confetti cannons that are high-powered with just loads of confetti. And so I told the story, I passed them all out to basically part of the cast, which were the stars of the event, which were the guests of honor. We call them the Band of Brothers, and their parent were there kind of as chaperones, I guess you would say. And so I made a big deal about how dangerous these confetti cannons were. And so I gathered everyone in and I said, okay, we're gonna have a safety meeting. And so the safety meeting was centered around how to hold it, how to point it away from yourself. It could potentially backfire and shoot the confetti the wrong direction, and I didn't want any injury. And the moms were, oh no, don't do those. Are you sure we can have these? And so I over-dramatized the seriousness of these confetti cannons to ensure that everyone knew and understood that at a certain point of the night, we had to do it in an exact way. Otherwise, someone could get hurt, maybe even go to the emergency room. So the confetti was scheduled in the crypt of the night to go off at the very end. So certainly the talk of the night amongst the parents and the moms, part of it was, oh, I'm so nervous about the end of the night. I'm so nervous about these confetti cans. So everyone was on edge throughout the night. It became kind of a subplot at the same time, but it was an attention grabber that was able to keep the attention of not only the attendees were there, they had no idea until the end that there was going to be confetti, but this created an open loop in the storyline to where everyone that was in the know were on the edge of their seats waiting to see what would happen at the end of the night. So in the end, the confetti moment came. We did the countdown. The cannons were passed out to the people that needed to operate them, and some of them part of the cast, some of them part of the crew. And we did the countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast. And it was just a way to capture the attention and help to further cement the memory of the night into the hearts and minds of the attendees for the night. So it's one of my favorite open loop attention grabbers. And so that's just a story of one thing you can do to keep the attention of the audience throughout the night. So that you might try that. So then another one is the hula hoop contest story. This is the story that I like to tell, that life begins when you step out of your comfort zone. And so it really is a tool that you use to help cement a moment into the hearts and minds of the audience or the attendee. And so the hula hoop story is one of my favorite because it's a moment I will never forget, and it really is a moment where I personally stepped out of my own comfort zone, and it has to do with a cruise. So I was on a cruise. The cruise director, they have different activities. I think one of them that maybe my son or my kid would suggest that I join, which was Mr. Puniverse. That's a different story altogether. But this was the hula hoop contest that the cruise director devised, and so I entered into a hula hoop contest. I am not a hula hooper. I don't even like cruises, so that's a whole nother problem. I'm uncomfortable as it is on the cruise. I go to this hula hoop contest, and I think we're in shorts and flip-flop, and everyone starts, and it's all old people and me, and at the time I think I was 30-something. And here I am in a hula hoop contest on on this cruise ship, and they play the music. It's like musical chairs. Well, I wind up, as I'm in the hula hoop contest, I see these cameras, and I can see the closed circuit camera TV station in the, I guess it was like this activity area or bar area where they're having this hula hoop contest, and I could see on the ship's closed circuit television, there we are, and there I am on TV in this stupid hula hoop contest. Well, it goes on for I don't know how long, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and I'm still hula hooping, and it comes down to there's 2 of us left, and I couldn't take it anymore and wound up coming in second place. Well, it left such a lasting impression on me, and it's because I was totally out of my comfort zone. I don't like cruise ships. I really don't know how to hula hoop, and it just goes down, and I don't remember what the prize was, but I'll never forget that day that I was in the hula hoop contest on closed circuit TV, where anyone watching the cruise ship television station at the time could see stupid me doing this stupid hula hoop contest, coming in second place. I'm not saying I condone it, but you might try a hula hoop contest for your event. It's definitely a way to grab people and get them out of their comfort zone and help cement into the hearts and minds so that the event will go down in history. It'll be legendary. Your grandkids will be talking about that hula hoop contest that you were in. You might try it. So one bride we had, this was in 2010, and let's just say, well, I can't use the bride's name because of privacy rules, but the bride, I'll never forget, she had gone through every single one of our event producers. She didn't like one, we switched her to another event producer. She didn't like one, and I'm not saying do this at any of our venues or our locations because we're not doing that anymore, but she just went through all of our event producers, I think 5 event producers. She wasn't satisfied. So finally, I was out of producers. So the client wound up, I became her producer, which I never do. It's always got to be planned further in advance. Minimum 6 figures, and this particular client wasn't that. And so on event day, she shows up. She's late to begin with. And then next thing you know, and you know that, and brides, they like to diet, they like to lose weight and get spray tans and hair and makeup and nails and the whole 9. She puts on her dress, and the dress rips. Okay, well, she's already running late, so the invited guests are already in their places. And I mean, I'm not in the dressing room, obviously, because I'm a male producer and she's in with the wedding party. They come out, the florist is with her with bridal bouquets, and the bride starts crying. So now all of her makeup is just smeared all over, so she's got to redo her makeup. The makeup gets on her white dress, so now the dress is no longer pristine. She proceeds to go down the aisle an hour and a half late because she is in tears. Well, dress ripped, makeup runs, dress gets stained. An hour and a half later, she goes down the aisle. So that is a horror story, but the good news is that the guests were happy. The event will go down in history, and we use that drama as an added subplot that goes to the memory of the event that will live on for forever and ever. It's actually something they laugh about now. Remember that night, and they can tell the story, and it becomes part of the story woven into their memories, and they can look back on it and think of it fondly. It wasn't fun at the time, but it is just another way to work in those drama moments, those dramatic moments into the subplot of the event. In fact, I think the bride herself, who was the star of the show, also kind of working against herself in the story of the night. And absolutely the event, which now that was 14 years ago, will be an event that no one will ever forget. It will live on and go down in history as it should. She was a beautiful bride. Couple lives happily ever after. And that's just a great story to tell and a way to weave in the drama in a way that no one will ever forget. Whenever we have an event, we try to have redundancies built in, and it's almost every time there is, you got to prepare, plan for the worst and hope for the best. So that's built into our game plan and built into the mini script, and that's why you work with pros, is to be able to handle any kind of drama or unexpected event that might happen, whether it's, you know, maybe the officiant is running late or is a no-show. I happen to be ordained. Luckily, I have never been called on. It's like the captain of a ship is also able to perform wedding ceremonies, so I am able to do wedding ceremonies. I've never had tried to do it, but it's the same thing if the DJ forgot his second set of speakers for cocktail hour. We have smooth jazz, and we have a house sound system where we can play music in the background. We also have microphones that patch through to every single one of our event spaces at this location. We have an emergency cabinet that has, whether it's flashlights or Q-tips or scissors or stapler or stain remover or shoe glue or you name it, all of those things. We even have coloring books for small children that may need to be kept busy for a minute. So we have, just so many things that are built in as redundancies here. I even have had to send our valet as concierge style to go down the street and pick up some special supplies for a particular event. So those things are built in, and you really want to work with professionals who have redundancies and contingencies in place for just about anything you might need or want. When you come to one of our events, certainly events that I'm the producer for, or any of the events that happen here at Bell Tower on 34th, as well as many when we go offsite and we do events, whether it's food and beverage or catering, staffing, all of those, we build in as many contingency plans and redundancies as we can, because you never know what's going to happen. And so that's one more reason why you need to work with our team and work with our venue. So we operate on candle power. In the event of a hurricane, there was a hurricane that came through recently, and the hurricane came through on Monday morning, and we happened to have a wedding that night. And we were surprised. The client said, are you kidding? Of course we still want to have our event. They still had their wedding that night. Chef was able to pull off a fantastic meal. It was beautiful and romantic because everything was done under candle power. It was a little warm that night, but not too hot, and they still had every single element in their event that night on time, and it was beautiful. And the pictures, we haven't had the pictures yet because it's just recently. The pictures haven't come out yet other than social media. The wedding was beautiful, and that absolutely will go down in history as the event, and everybody in that event, cast and crew and audience alike, will never forget that event that we held here at the Bell Tower on a day where there was a hurricane that morning and the wedding was that night. We pulled it off. It's going to go down in history, and it's just another way that we were able to take part of the drama of the night and weave it into the hearts and minds, cement it into the hearts and minds of everybody that was there that night, including the staff. No one will ever forget it. It's going to go down in history. It'll be legendary for sure. My mind keeps on going back to lobsters on the dance floor. I designed this. I wanted to have, I don't know, for whatever reason, lobsters. We had this huge 200-gallon tank. Just had to have been 6 feet long and 3 feet, just huge lobster tank. So we had specialists come in and treat the water and then deliver the lobsters. The kind you see at these seafood places, steak and seafood places. A huge lobster tank was full of lobsters. And this was one of the design elements in the event. And for whatever reason, the guests decided, after into the night, one of the guests decided that she wanted to bring lobsters to the dance floor. She takes the rubber bands off the claws and she's got lobsters. She brings them and the dance floor was packed. You could not move on the dance floor. Well, somehow or another, the lobsters got loose on the dance floor, and this created a moment in the night that just created chaos where and I think it turned out that the lobsters stayed on the dance floor, and that everyone on the dance floor stayed there and danced with the lobsters on the dance floor. And to me, that is just crazy drama, fun, and it's just a memory that I know for sure that moment is cemented into the hearts and minds of the people that were there that night. Not everyone got to see, but it became the story of the night. Did you see the lobsters on the dance floor? And so that story spread throughout the audience into the days and weeks and months through the event, the lobsters on the dance floor, which is just a great story about and a memory that will go on for hopefully years and decades, maybe even generations. So the people that were there that night will be able to then tell their kids and grandkids about the night that they went to the party and there were lobsters on the dance floor, and I love that. Some of these elements are part of the script and some of them are not part of the script. And what I found is that a lot of the memories are surprises that you can design them and you can plan and you can design, but some of the best memories are the memories that were unscripted and and unplanned. They're moments that were unscripted and unplanned that just turn out to be some of the most amazing, memorable moments. And this is now something that we had. I know the story of my own wedding, and this was long before I was a producer of events. When I first got married, my wife and I, we went in a horse-drawn carriage. We leave, it's kind of a drizzly night. Bang, we got hit by a drunk driver while we're in a horse-drawn carriage in the light drizzle in October. It's kind of cold. We had our blanket, we had our meals. They sent the meal for go around the block as just a quiet moment with the two of us. And we get hit by a drunk driver. And so that becomes part of the story of the night. It wasn't planned, obviously, and it was unfortunate for one of the horses that had to be put down, okay? But it is part of the story that will live on. And obviously it's something we shared with our children and we'll probably share with our grandchildren. So it becomes some drama that was introduced into the night that was not scripted, but is now cemented into our hearts and minds. And at the time, it wasn't planned, and it wasn't a very happy moment. Thankfully, my wife and I were not injured. Thankfully, could have been a major disaster. Thankfully, it wasn't for us, and it becomes a part of the story of the night. So that's just another way that you can remember. Not everything is going to go perfect. So if you are a producer, if you're doing events, or maybe if you are a client and you think you've got all of the details ironed out, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to go down exactly like you hope. And so you need to plan for that. And you need to have maybe a sense of humor, maybe have some patience, maybe just expect that there's going to be elements of the story that play out there themselves that you have no control over. And in the end, it could be something fantastic and amazing that you get to take credit for later as it becomes part of the story of the night, or it becomes part of the story of the event. So just food for thought.